Can you hear now? You can hear it?
possibly have a family member or know of somebody that is a veteran or in active duty right now. So we hope you enjoy this program, and it will help you appreciate a little more what they are doing for our country. You're going to meet some very special Panthers today, so we're really glad that you students are here. The Alumni Association also wants to send best of luck to the Panther football team. Tomorrow night, they're in a playoff game with Crittenden County. We're fortunate that it is here at home. And we just want you to know, you represent yourself, but you represent your family and your team and your school and your community. You represent a lot of people when you're out on that field. And a lot of alumni are in those stands wearing black and gold, still cheering for you. Mr. Baker, he graduated from Russellville High School 53 years ago. He's up in that press box doing your PA for you. Chris McGinnis, he graduated 29 years ago. He's in that press box calling your game on the radio. Miss Mary Beth Dowden, she graduated 56 years ago. She's in that black and gold up there cheering for her Panthers. And Coach O, he drives your bus to games, he drives you to the field, and he's the one that's pacing back and forth because all these years later, he's still pulling for his Panthers and still wanting you to do well. Then there's others of us. There's Miss Ann. She graduated 39 years ago. Don't get a personal foul during that ball game because you will hear her yelling, "Walk away, walk away, walk away." And she will be up there with a cowbell in one hand and a pom-pom in the other. So, and then there's me. I'm up there counting the players on the field. Every time I'm going, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, making sure that there's no foul there. And then I'm also the one yelling, "Don't jump, don't jump, don't jump." So alumni, I graduated 47 years ago. We're still there in our black and gold cheering you on, and we all want a trip to Lexington. So you all just play the best you can. We're all excited for you. So best of luck, Panther football team. Once you're a Panther, you're always a Panther. Do you all get a tear in your eye when you see these videos on TV or if you're on Facebook or something where there's a dad dressed in a referee uniform at a football game going to surprise his son that's a football player, and the mom that sneaks into her child's classroom at school, the brother that's hiding in a box for his sister to open, the son that's dressed as a waiter in a restaurant taking his mother's order, the families awaiting the arrival of their loved ones at airports, the hugs and tears that just don't seem to end. Well, this is why we're here today, to honor, celebrate, and remember Panther heroes that served our country and were able to come home, and then some that didn't come home. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jean Reynolds. I'm representing the Alumni Association, and it's our pleasure to welcome you to the groundbreaking of the future site of a beautiful Veterans Memorial honoring many Panther heroes who gave the ultimate sacrifice by serving our country. We have a lovely ceremony planned for you today, and we hope you enjoy it. We have several out-of-town guests here today, including Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, Florida, and West Virginia. We know that many of you are here to honor someone that you love or someone that you miss. We have veterans here that remain so proud even after decades or years since their last assignment. So this is truly a special day for the Alumni Association and Russellville Independent Schools to say thank you to our Panther veterans and their families. This crowd consists of mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, wives, husbands, grandparents, all kinds of family members that are a part of a veteran's life. And when I think of someone to tell a veteran, thank you for your service, sometimes to me it's just those words just aren't enough. I can't imagine what you went through and what your family went through. Veterans in our active duty military have been brave. You've been strong, you've been cold, you've been hot, you've been wet, sore, you've endured pain, you've had pounding hearts, and some of you were so young, maybe never even leaving home before. There's fear, there's exhilaration. There's the power of brotherhood and a selfless sense of purpose. So as we say thank you for your service, we thank your family and friends for their sacrifices too that were made as well. And especially thank you to all of our veterans and active duty military for defending our nation and our freedom. This special project began a year ago when Mr. Ben Bruni, former Russellville principal at RHS, came to our Alumni Association meeting with this brilliant idea asking if we would be interested in honoring Panther veterans, especially those killed in action. Of course, we said yes. We took on this extensive task, and there are plenty of people to thank that have helped us to get this far. Ann McReynolds, class of 1982, is going to help us with that, and then afterwards, Chris McGinnis of WRUS Radio and the RHS class of 1992 will be our MC for the afternoon.
Thanks, Jean. On behalf of the Russellville Alumni Association, I would like to say a special thank you to some special people who are joining us today. Logan County Judge Executive, Mr. Logan Chick, Russellville Mayor, Mr. Mark Stratton, Mayor General Jerry Humble, Mr. Jimmy Berger and his family, the family of Bobby Ray Mefford, the family of Alvin Shiflett Jr., the family of James Henry Province, Mr. Larry Begley, Russellville Independent School Superintendent, the members of the Russellville Independent School Board of Education, Mr. James Milam, the chairman, Ms. Devonna Page, Ms. Lovis Patterson, Mr. Joe Sparks, and Mr. Philip West, Mr. Rex Booth, Russellville High School principal, and his staff, senior band member Josh Proctor, the Russellville High School Band Director, Mr. Trevor Cardwell, and Assistant Miss Molly Robertson, Mr. Danny Perry, the Russellville Independent Schools Director of Maintenance and his staff, Miss Juliana Link, the Russellville Ambassadors and the Ambassador Administration Team, Colonel Mike Triplett, Russellville High School members and Logan County High members of the Logan County Junior ROTC, the Logan County FBLA members, the Colonel Benjamin Logan chapter of the Sons of the American Revolution, Mr. Larry Baker, Mr. Chris McGinnis, Mr. Sonny Green for the rendering and painting of our memorial, Mr. Jim Humphrey, our architect and our consultant. There are many Russellville Alumni Association members and officers who have worked tirelessly on this project. They have put in endless hours to make this memorial possible. A very big thank you to Ms. Jean Reynolds, our Russellville Alumni Association president, who made all of this possible today. Ms. Kate Collins, who is our Alumni Association Secretary, Mr. Greg Owens, who is our Alumni Association Vice President, along with his brother, Mr. Tom Owens, who put in many hours of research on this project. Ms. Mary Seltzer, who is our record keeper and our correspondent for our brick orders. Ms. Paulette Smith for our beautiful programs. Her daughter, Paulicia Smith, who have Unique My Yard for a business, and they've put the yard sign out in front of the high school today. Ms. Haley Jane, who is our Russellville Alumni Association treasurer. Ms. Judy Chick, Ms. Mary Beth Dowden, Missy Perry, Ms. Connie Pearson, and Mr. Mark Reynolds for planning and setup. And a special thank you to the RHS class of 1969, who dedicated the old bell, which has stood in the tower on the front lawn here at the high school for over 50 years. They graciously agreed to allow the removal of the bell from the tower to be placed in this memorial. And then we'd also like to thank Cody Costello and Costello Stone. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being with us today. As you can tell by the list of those that had to be thanked, it takes quite a number of people to put on an effort like this, but yet the amount of effort that it takes is nothing in comparison to the sacrifice of those that we are honoring today. Speaking of honors, it is indeed our honor and privilege to introduce to you our honored guest this afternoon. He is a 1942 graduate of Russellville High School, and his name is Mr. Jimmy Berger. He's seated here on the front row. When he was drafted into the Army, he was privileged to go to the Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland. He had a course in small arms to be a weapons mechanic and was then shipped off to Oklahoma to take that position with an ordnance medium maintenance company. Mr. Berger was discharged in August of 1946 as World War II was over. Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to have with us a true Panther hero, Mr. Jimmy Berger, and his family with us today. Thank you, sir, for your service and your sacrifice. It's an honor. At this time, I would like to call Mr. Larry Baker, Russellville High School class of 1968, to open us with prayer.
Would you join me in prayer, please? Dear Lord God, today we honor our veterans, worthy men and women who gave their best when they were called upon to serve and protect their country. We want to thank you especially for those that we're honoring as RHS graduates today. We pray that you will bless all veterans for their unselfish service in the continual struggle to preserve our freedoms, our safety, and our country's heritage for all of us. Bless them abundantly for the hardships they faced, for the sacrifices they made, if they contributed to America's victories over tyranny and oppression. Today in this ceremony, we especially want to remember the 3 men from Russellville High School who gave their lives in battle for this country. And even though many years have passed since they left us, we pray for family members and friends who have memories of them, and trust you will comfort them with your presence. We thank you for the privilege of honoring them this day. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Larry. At this time, I would ask that you please stand for the presentation of our colors by the Logan County JROTC, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Cameron Kisseball, United States Navy veteran, RHS Class of 2005 graduate, and teacher at Stevenson Elementary School. Afterwards, the Russellville High School Band will honor our country with the playing of the national anthem.
Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Again, we want to thank you for being here today on this special occasion. It is indeed an honor to stand before you, a proud graduate of Russellville High School, proud to have worn the black and gold, and proud to be an alumnus that honors its own in this way. The beautiful plates that will be on the Veterans Memorial are on display. You can see them on the tables here when the service is over. We encourage you to please come up and see them. The plate will be located at the top of the monument. States, "This memorial is dedicated to remembering the students of Russellville Independent Schools who made the ultimate sacrifice in their service to the nation." An Abraham Lincoln quote states, "It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion." Family, friends, and classmates have honored their Panther veteran with a brick paver that will be laid at the base of the memorial. When you hear the names read by the family members on 9/11, it's so touching and important, and an important way for them to remember their loved one. We have loved ones here today who deserve to hear someone special to them be named in that way. At this time, I'd like to read the names of those very special Panthers. They are listed on the back of your program if you have received one. In the United States Air Force, Dan Anderson, Roland C. Beasley, Kenneth W. Ballou, Robert Gaines, Browning H. Gorell Jr., Jim Kerr, Charles Duncan McCormick, Dennis Ray Perry, Jimmy Lee Utley. In the United States Army, Robert Balance, James H. Berger Jr., Boyd N. Chapman, J. Byron Chapman, Jermaine Collier, Earl V. Davis, Richard Davis, Terrence Dunn, James Glenn, L. D. Glenn, David L. Greer, Harold T. Hinton, James F. Humphrey, Terrell Jackson, Lindy Watson Kimmis, Maurice Linton Jr., Larry Glenn Loftus, John Allen Martin, Stephen Netherland, Lawrence Patrick O'Brien, Thomas C. Owens, Jeannie Posey, Billy Page Province, Joe Lloyd Smotherman, W.B. Taylor Jr., Chris Watson, Christopher Woods, Fred Wright, Michael Henning, Jimmy Benton, Michael Benton, and Virgil Benton. The United States Coast Guard, Jerry Posey. The Kentucky National Guard, Alvin Ken Smith. The United States Marine Corps, David E. Blackwell, Homer Chapman, Joseph Taylor Guyan, Jason Humble, Jerry D. Humble, R.L. Skip Polak. The United States Navy, D. Kyle Ashby, Exie L. Bell, J. David Britt, William Owen Chapman, Cameron Kisselball, Tyrone Long, Jeffrey Allen Maxwell, Jack McFadden, Jack McLean, John Hicks McLean, Porter McLean, Stephen Oberhausen, Charles Edward Bunk O'Brien, James A. Parrish, James Brandon Parrish, Michael Polak, Larry Posey, James D. Purvis Jr., Bruce R. Russell Jane, Richard L. Smith, Brad Watson, and the United States National Guard, Edward R. Greer. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice. Mr. Bobby Ray Mefford, Mr. James Henry Province, and Mr. Alvin Marion Shiflett Jr. are three Panther heroes we're remembering today. Beautiful plates will be on the memorial in honor of them, and we're honored to have members of their family with us today. Bobby Ray Mefford, Lance Corporal, United States Marine Corps, from Russellville, Kentucky, served as a rifleman in H Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, 3rd Marine Division in the Republic of Vietnam. On August 6, 1967, one day short of his 19th birthday, Lance Corporal Mefford was killed in action as a result of enemy small arms fire in the Tuệ Thanh Province, South Vietnam. He was posthumously awarded the Purple Heart and is buried in Maple Grove Cemetery in Russellville. I ask that you please welcome Mr. Mefford's family joining us today. Thank you all. Thank you. James Henry Province, Engine Cadet, U.S. Merchant Marine from Detroit, Michigan, served on the freighter SS West Portal during World War II. On Friday, February 5, 1943, the SS West Portal was torpedoed by U-413 in the North Atlantic while in convoy from New York to Liverpool, England. The ship had straggled away from the convoy when she was sunk. Neither the ship nor the crew were ever seen. The SS West Portal was one of 33 ships that disappeared without a trace, and details of its sinking were not known until after the war through access to German records. James H. Province was declared dead while missing and posthumously awarded the Mariner's Medal, Combat Bar with Star, Atlantic War Zone Bar, the Victory Medal, and the Presidential Testimonial Letter. His remains were not recovered. Please welcome the family of Mr. James Henry Province. Alvin Marion Shiflett Jr., Petty Officer, 3rd Class, United States Navy, from Russellville, Kentucky, was a Boatswain's Mate 3 on the aircraft carrier USS Oriskany in the Gulf of Tonkin off the coast of North Vietnam. On October 26, 1966, Shiflett died from non-battle wounds with 43 other officers and men as a result of an accidental munitions fire aboard the carrier. He is buried in the Auburn Cemetery. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the family of Mr. Alvin Marion Shiflett, Jr. At this time, it's my honor to introduce to you Mr. Larry Begley, the Superintendent of the Russellville Independent Schools, and Board Chairman, Mr. James Milam, as they have a very special presentation.
Either one, please.
When I used to travel a little more, I would see people wearing these hats, and I've learned that you always say, thank you for your service. So would everybody join me right now and say, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. And that's something that's very important. When I grew up, this day was Armistice Day. People now never heard of that word. In November of 1919, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day with the following words. To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service, and with gratitude for the victory, both because of the thing from which it has freed us and because of the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace and justice in the councils of the nations. In 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower changed the name of that day to Veterans Day. And it was apt that he'd do so because of his service to our nation. There are people who have commented on this day. One of them is George S. Patton, who is pretty gruff in the way he speaks, as you all know. So I don't want quoting this. I think it says a lot, but it may say some things it shouldn't say, which is characteristic of him. He said, it is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived. And I think when we look back on that quote, it is appropriate. And then G.K. Chesterton, a poet, said the true soldier fights not because he hates what is in front of him, but because he loves what is behind him. And I think that is appropriate too. And one other thing that I thought might register, because it's become very important in our culture, is the words of Mr. Lee Greenwood when he wrote his song and said, I'm proud to be an American. I won't sing it for you. I'll save you that problem. I'm proud to be an American where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died who gave that right to me. We're pleased today, and we're honored to honor these three individuals. And Mr. Larry Joe Begley, who is the son of a veteran, I know that, and he'll make a comment or two.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out. And I heard Mr. Baker in his prayer use the word privilege. I heard Chris in his address use the word honor. And then I get to thinking about, how hard is it to really thank a veteran for what they've done and what they stand for. And even though it's difficult, and I do recognize how hard it is to really say thank you and it be enough, I know that I got to try. I know as hard as it is, I still have to try, to say thank you and let you know how much it means to me. Mr. Milam is correct. I am the proud son of a Vietnam veteran, and I thank him today along with you just for what it means to me as I try sometimes to imagine what being a veteran is really like. I'll shut my eyes sometimes and I will try to imagine, the things that you're asked to do or had to do. And I try to imagine what I would do if in that same situation. And I don't think that I could measure up to what you are. And then I get to think about the opportunity that's been given to me in my life as a result of the sacrifices and the service that people, I'm standing here today as superintendent of Russellville Independent Schools. I got to walk in with Jerry Humble and his beautiful wife. I actually get to sit beside Jerry Humble's beautiful wife, and the opportunity that's provided. I heard Jerry Humble say on his way in that he was a graduate of Russellville High School and that diploma had served him very well. And I started thinking about that, and I thought, The students that we have in this building right now are getting the same type of education from the same community that loved and embraced Jerry Humble to achieve what he has achieved. And I do think it's an honor to be able to sit by you and your wife, by the way. I mean that. And I do feel privileged to be able to present these diplomas to the three individuals that deserve them so much. But Greg Owen, is Greg close enough so I can make eye contact with him?
Steps.
Greg pointed out something today, is that on the program, everybody that is standing up here and going to speak is a Russellville High School graduate except me. And so I have made a pledge some way, sitting here, I've pledged this to myself. I don't know what I have to do. I don't know what requirements will have to be met, but I want to be a Russellville High School Panther for life, just like Ann spoke of and just like Gene speaks of. That's what I want. I want to be a part of it, and Greg, if you can think of a way, if you can think of something that I can do to earn the title of Panther for life, I do not want to be the only one sitting up here who is not a Russellville High School graduate. Rex, Julie, whatever we can think of. I'll take the classes, I'll study. I want to be a Panther. But I do want to get back to the part, like I said, honor and privilege. It is an honor and a privilege bestowed upon me by the opportunities of the people and the veterans that are said here that I am even allowed to do this, to present these diplomas to these three individuals. Gene, I know the families are here.
Families are here. If a representative wants to come receive it.
Okay. We'll start with the order that there are. Bobby Joe Mefford. If a family member would like to come up and receive this diploma, it would be my honor to present it.
One or more.
Stay there.
Next, would the family of James Henry Province come forward, please? Finally, the family of Alvin Marion Shiflett, Jr.
He offered closing remarks, and you don't do that to a lawyer. But I will say that I'm honored to have my wife with me, and we graduated in 1960, and best I can figure that was, 61 years ago? Both of us graduated together, and so we're honored to be among these people, and Mr. Berger is especially, he's got it on us. We're honored that he is here to join us. We pray that we will continue to maintain this respect and show it, and we we also pledge to do that. So we thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Begley and Mr. Milam. Ladies and gentlemen, we're honored today to have retired United States Marine Corps Major General Jerry Humble as our keynote speaker at this special event. As you've already heard, Major General Humble is a 1965 graduate of Russellville High School, lettering in 4 sports. Having been on the Panther football team led him to accepting a football scholarship at Western Kentucky University. He married his high school sweetheart, Logan County native Margaret Jane Hollingsworth, in 1968. In the midst of the Vietnam War, Jerry enlisted in the United States Marine Corps and was commissioned as a second lieutenant. His 34-year career included service in Desert Storm and other operations, including commanding Marine forces in Korea. He was recognized with the Defense Distinguished Service Medal, Navy Distinguished Service Medal, Legion of Merit with 2 gold stars, and Combat V Meritorious Service Medal with 1 gold star, Joint Service Commendation Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal with 1 gold star, Navy Achievement Medal and Combat Action Ribbon. And just last month, he received the Colonel Benjamin Logan Award from his fellow Logan Countyans. Ladies and gentlemen, please pay tribute to his exemplary service to our nation and welcome RHS alumnus, Major General Jerry Humble.
It's more than I'm honored to be here. I'm obligated to be here. My old high school, and I see a lot of my friends sitting out here. But let me start this off with first, Superintendent. I got to tell you, you can't be a Panther unless you're a Panther, right? As I was sitting up here, I saw a friend of mine in the back walk in, and it reminded me of a story, but Brad Watson sitting back there, great athlete and a Navy jock pilot. You know what he did when he walked in here? He flashed his Go Navy mask at me. That reminds me of a story, and it's a true story. When I was a young captain in Norfolk, Marine Barracks, I was a nuclear weapons security officer. And I had some very special Marines. We were chosen because we had law enforcement we protected nuclear weapons and very people with clearances and all that stuff. So we were selected to go to New York City on a carrier for a Bob Hope show. I don't know if it's Fleet Week or something up there. Well, I had to go by train. I had to go through Norfolk. From Norfolk, I had to go through to meet with in the Pentagon with some folks. I had to go to Quantico, that's where it was, and coordinate with our security folks there and the FBI. We were going to be armed, we were armed, security people for this Bob Hope show. And this is during the time, there was some fricas back and forth, but I left Quantico riding on the train to New York. And I'm in dress blues with a white hat. And the old gentleman sitting right across from me, of course they didn't pay for captains to ride first class or anything. I was in the general seating. And this guy keeps looking at me, eyeing me up and down. And he finally says, Captain, do you know why the Marines are part of the Navy? And before I could say, yeah, we're the men's department of the Navy. He said, you know, after World War I, where Marines got the nickname devil dogs, that's what the Germans call us, because we really went after them. He said after World War I, the war to end all wars, they decided the Department of Interior and the Department of the other Department of Commerce decided, wait a minute, the war to end all wars, we need to get rid of some of these antiquated things and sell off some things. So we had an auction in Washington. Potentates and emissaries and business people from all over the world came, and they auctioned off everything, except for two things. A herd of jackasses and the Marines. Well, they decided we'll just cut the cards for it, we'll flip it, and with the Army and the Navy. Well, the Army won. They took the jackasses, so we became the men's department of the Navy. But Brad, you brought that story back. Anyway, we did go do the Bob Hope Show, and it was a great experience. Like I said, I think it's my privilege, not only a privilege, but it's my duty to be here as an RHS grad. And I'm here proud to help dedicate those who gave all. Without veterans, and I can prove this, you wouldn't be here today. You might speak German if you were. You might speak Japanese. You might speak Farsi or a couple other languages that we learn around the world. You wouldn't be free to do this. And by the way, the captains of industry, education, all across this nation, I've met them, I know, are former veterans who came back. They had the discipline. They had the savviness. They had the work ethic. They had the integrity. People wanted them. And I'm telling you, at least I know for the Marines, you go back and start peeling that back, you see how many, and in education, were veterans. Now, I'm not saying veterans are the be-all, end-all, but they're awfully important to this country, and they're still important. And to all of you students sitting up there, I studied China for 20 years. You're our future as patriots or as veterans to come and serve. It is not a nice world out there. I'm still involved in some security stuff, and it's not a nice world out there. Your forefathers and grandmothers and family members made this country what it is, and it's a great country. We're the most wealthy, we're the most generous, we're the most giving, and it's because of the great patriots and the great veterans who serve us. And I got to say this, when I'd leave, I was in 34 years, I was gone 12, somewhere in the world. When I left my family with the police, the fire, the emergency medical people, the medical people. And I had all confidence. So I've got to tell you, I'm proud of veterans, but I'm also very, very thankful to those who serve locally. Veterans protect from the outside. And by the way, if you join, you're going to go, you may not go. As we say in the Marine Corps, when you swear and sign the oath, you sign your death certificate. We're a little bit different like that. We make fun of everything. And except I've got to tell you this. There's been times in our country where the military has had to step in when law enforcement or fire or whatever overwhelmed them. I took the Marines into the Los Angeles riots. And we, the Marines, went into the thick of it. That's because Marines don't fall under posse comitatus. You all don't know what that means, but it means we can be used as law enforcement, and we have. We guarded the mail. We've done things like that. But the National Guard and the Army Reserves, all the services can help the local authorities. I think we had hospital ships up in New Jersey, New York, just, the last few years with the pandemic. But you should all be thankful for the veterans, and not just us, we military veterans, but those who serve us locally. And I'm so proud of them. I've got to tell you, when I was walking up here talking about graduating from Russellville High School, and I see Freddie Wright sitting there and a couple of us that went to high school together. We had some great teachers. We got a good education. And it held me up well. I have briefed presidents. I have briefed secretaries of states. I've met, kings and queens. I was so thankful many times. I biting my cheek sitting there in the alcove talking to Madeleine Albright about some very highly classified stuff. And I was with a 4-star general. I was a 2-star. And she looked at the 4-star and said, "Isn't that right?" And he had to turn to me and said, "I think General Humble can explain that to you." You all ought to be proud. And let me just do one last thing here. Oh, by the way, my wife told me this morning to respect your civil rights and not talk too long. And I told her, it's a dang free country. I'll talk as long as I want. She says, yeah, well, we can listen as long as we want. But for all you young people up here, if you are a veteran or you have somebody in your family that's a veteran, I want to show you what part of the country you come from. Raise your hand. Please, raise your hand. If you're a veteran, somebody in your family is a veteran. Hi, let's see it. Okay, students, look around. Kentuckians are known for being great veterans. And I could go into story after story. And I'm very proud of what Russell's doing here. It's great. And I'm proud of it. And I'm proud of you all. God bless you, and happy Veterans Day.
Thank you, General. As we begin the conclusion of our ceremony today, the Colonel Benjamin Logan chapter of the Sons of the American Revolution will lay a wreath at the site of the memorial. Because we've had to move inside today, they will do that here. The playing of taps by Josh Proctor will follow, and the retiring of the colors will conclude our program this afternoon. We thank you for your presence. The memorial plates and brick pavers are on the tables here in front of you. We invite you to come forward and to see those. Please remain seated until the colors are retired. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us this afternoon. Go Big P!
RHS students, at this time we will dismiss. We will go to third block, get your stuff, and head to 8th period. Again, that is, we are going to 8th period at this time. Students who generally go to CTC, you can remain in the gym. Ms. Rose's students also need to remain in the gym.